Welcome to another listen of Where Silence Has Something to Say. In the Bible, there's a word that feels familiar when we read it and hear it. A word that's emotional, callous, cold, harsh. A word that makes us guarded, and a word that has been repurposed from its Hebraic concept to our English definition. For almost 2 years, I've been excavating this word because even the Blue Letter Bible definition doesn't match how the Bible is using it. So I traced the word through the passages themselves to see what the text was actually doing. Somewhere between translation and tradition, we lost its intention. And when we filter the Bible through English definitions, we lose the nuance the word carries. So, what this word and concept meant then must mean the same now, or we risk misunderstanding the very heart of Elohim. So today, we're re-evaluating a word we believe we understand. And if we're honest, this is one of those words that, if spoken to us, can make us feel dismissed, disrespected, or even devalued. Because in the Bible, this word is not a respecter of persons, it's a respecter of purpose. Don't you hate it when that happens? I hate spinach. I hate that I forgot to do that. Hate. We use that word for almost everything. For inconvenience, frustration, irritation, and the little moments that annoy us. Hate. We've all heard it. We've all probably used it. But do we actually understand what it means? Not in English, but from a biblical perspective. Before we talk about what hate is, we need to talk about what hate is not. In Western thought, hate is an emotion. It's a spike of hostility, a surge of anger, a moment of irritation, a reaction that rises in the chest, tightens the jaw, and flares the nostril. And sometimes that emotion can destroy relationships or injure people. When we say hate, we're usually speaking about a feeling, annoyance, frustration, disgust, even resentment. It's personal, emotional, and often directed at someone or something. But that's not how the Bible uses the word, not even close. The English word hate carries emotional heat. The Hebrew word saneh does not. And when we bring our emotions into a text that wasn't written from an emotional perspective, we end up misinterpreting what the text actually says. So let's strip away the Western meaning so we can see the Hebraic one. The Hebrew word hate isn't a feeling. It isn't rage. It isn't hostility. It isn't that reaction that rises in the chest, tightens the jaw, and flares the nostril. The Torah commands us not to harbor that kind of hatred in our hearts toward one another. And there are consequences when we do. But it does command us to hate evil, injustice, cruelty, lying, pride, and the like. So when we look at how this word is used in the Bible, we see a pattern. It describes turning aside, pulling back, stepping back. Response, not emotion. Love responds by moving toward, drawing close. Hate responds by moving away, turning aside. And once we understand this, things begin to look different. Suddenly, the word hate stops sounding like emotional hostility and starts appearing as a response. And when we see it from that lens, the passages we've wrestled with for years finally begin to make sense. Take this one. Jacob I loved, but Esau I hated. For most of us, that verse has always sounded like favoritism, as though Elohim is a respecter of persons. But that's not what's happening. Through the Hebraic lens, love and hate are not emotions. To love is to choose, to draw close. To hate is to turn away, to pull back. So when the Bible says Elohim loved Jacob, it means he chose Jacob. He drew close and chose covenant through him. And when it says he hated Esau, it doesn't mean he felt hostility towards him. It means he did not choose Esau. He turned aside and chose Jacob for purpose, not preference. And we see this same Hebraic concept in the story of Leah. Most English translations say that Jacob loved Rachel and hated Leah. And it's easy to hear that as emotional abuse or neglect, as though Jacob despised, rejected, or treated Leah with cruelty. But that's not what the text is saying. Jacob didn't hate Leah in the way we use the word today. He didn't flare his nostrils at her. He didn't burn with anger towards her. He didn't emotionally attack her. The Hebrew is describing motion, not emotion. Jacob loved Rachel. He chose her, drew close to her, and he hated Leah, meaning he did not draw close to her. His choice was Rachel. But Elohim chooses for purpose, not preference. And when we see it through that lens, something beautiful happens in the story. Elohim sees Leah. He sees the one Jacob did not choose, and he draws close to her. not because Jacob despised her, but because she was turned aside. And Elohim chooses Leah to birth the lines of Levi and Judah. The Hebraic pattern doesn't diminish the story, it deepens it. It reveals the tenderness of Elohim toward the overlooked, the unchosen, the one who stands in the shadow of someone else's love. Now that we see the way the Bible uses hate as choice, not emotion, even Messiah's misunderstood words began to come into focus. He says, "If anyone comes to me and does not hate father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, even their own life, he cannot be my disciple." For many years, I didn't know what to do with that. Perhaps neither did you. We tried to soften it, explain it away, make it sound less harsh, less shocking, less impossible. Because in English, hate is emotional, it's violent, it's hostile, it's the tightening jaw and the flared nostril. But Messiah wasn't speaking English. He wasn't speaking from a Western emotional perspective. He was speaking from a Hebraic one. And in Hebraic thought, hate isn't about emotion, it's about choosing. So when he says we must hate father and mother, he isn't authorizing emotional heat or rejection toward our families. He's instructing us to choose him, to draw close to him, even when other relationships pull in a different direction. It's not about despising anyone. It's about choosing him above every competing claim on our loyalty. And he chooses us the same way, not because of who we are, but because of what he intends to do through us. Suddenly, his words stop sounding impossible and start sounding like what they truly are: a call to undivided allegiance. Then this, in Matthew 5, when Messiah says, "You have heard that it was said, 'Love your neighbor and hate your enemy.'" He's correcting a teaching tradition that never came from Torah. Hate your enemy violates Leviticus 19, the heart of Torah and the very nature of Elohim. So Messiah refuses to repeat a distortion the Father never spoke. Instead, he calls us to love our enemy and pray. Loving our enemy is a choice, not an emotion. It doesn't mean draw close to them, it means draw close to him. Love them through him so we don't react out of the emotional hostility, irritation, or resentment we often call hate, because he is love. And remember, we also were once his enemy, turned aside, now drawn close. Since he loved us when we were his enemy, we love our enemy through him, so we don't turn aside again. Now that we have a new lens to look through, we can see these passages, Esau, Leah, and the words of Messiah, side by side, and begin to see the pattern, the thread, the consistency we've missed because we were reading with English emotion instead of Hebraic purpose. In each story, the text isn't describing emotionalism. It's describing a pattern, a Hebraic concept of drawing close or turning away. 4 different stories, 4 different contexts, 1 consistent Hebraic understanding. Until next time, take a breath. Remember, love is choosing, drawing close. Hate is turning aside, pulling back, stepping back. And what those words and concepts meant then must mean the same now. When we absorb that, the Bible stops sounding contradictory or harsh and becomes coherent, consistent, and deeply relational. And there we'll discover hate, the meaning we missed, where silence has something to say.